What if you're so tired because you waste all your energy explaining yourself to people who don't really see you? Every sorry, every excuse, every long explanation for choices that didn't need one. They're draining you dry. How many times today did you explain yourself when you could have just said no and walked away? How many times have you said sorry today? How many hours have you spent explaining yourself to people who will never really see you? There's a moment, a doorway, most people never walk through. You're standing at its edge right now, feeling that tight feeling in your chest as you practice the conversation in your head again. The one where you finally stop defending why you exist to others. You know that feeling, don't you? The tiredness from carrying around reasons for why you are the way you are, why you need alone time, why you didn't go, why you changed your mind, why you want something else. The mental practice, the defending, the careful picking of words that might finally make them get you. But what if I told you that this never-ending loop of explaining is the very thing draining all your energy? What if the stress weighing you down isn't your tasks, but the weight of 1,000 unsaid reasons you carry everywhere you go? Look at your text messages right now. How many start with sorry? How many have long paragraphs explaining simple choices that didn't need any defense? The average person spends nearly 2 hours every day mentally creating explanations for choices that need no defense. 2 hours of your precious, limited energy gone. Picture putting your hand on a hot stove, feeling your skin burn, and still keeping it there, while politely explaining why you'd rather not be burned. Sounds crazy, right? Yet in your heart, this is exactly what you're doing. Every time you over-explain your boundaries, your needs, your very self, there is a line, a doorway, that once you walk through it, changes everything. On one side, tiredness, anger, and the constant worry about being judged. On the other, a life where your energy stays yours, where explanations become simple statements, where no is enough without the paragraph that follows it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where this line is and the exact moment you can step across it. Let's be really honest about where you're living right now. In the land of always explaining, everything costs more than it should. Relationships drain you instead of filling you up. Simple choices become big talks. Not with others, but with the made-up court in your mind. You're not just tired, you're explanation tired. Think about the last time you cancelled plans. Did you give a short, honest answer? Or did you create a big story of reasons, complete with proof and backup? A small cold becomes a terrible flu. Being a little tired becomes total exhaustion. Just needing alone time becomes a big work emergency. This pattern started long before you knew it. Maybe with a parent who made you explain yourself until you found the right answer, not the true one. Or maybe with friends who quietly punished your real choices until you learned that being real needs defending. The hurt is old, but the pain is happening now. The worst part? You've become your own judge. Before anyone else can question you, you've already put yourself on trial. The proof against you is huge, your defense is weak, and the decision is always the same. Explain yourself better, or you don't deserve what you want. Your worry isn't random. It's the price of living in a state of always defending yourself. Who really gets mad when you don't explain yourself? Look closely at these people. Are they the ones who truly love you? Or are they the ones who gain from your giving in? From your tiredness? From your endless show of giving reasons? The stress you feel, that constant buzz of worry, isn't random. It comes directly from living in a state of always defending. Your body never relaxes, because deep down, you're always getting ready for the next questioning. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you felt that stomach drop when someone questions your choices, that quick rush to justify, explain, defend, even when no explanation was needed. This isn't just about feeling good in social settings. This is about your health, your future, your ability to live without the constant drain of explanation energy leaking from your spirit. Take a breath. Think about the last time you made a choice without explaining it to anyone, not even yourself. How long ago was it? How free did you feel? The old teacher Epictetus, who began life as a slave and ended it as one of the greatest teachers of freedom, understood this doorway better than most. Born into a world where he had no right to make his own choices, he found something amazing. Use what is in your power and accept the rest as it happens. He was born in chains, yet found more freedom than most people who walk around free today. What Epictetus saw was the big difference between what we can and can't control. Some things are in our power, our thoughts, what matters to us, how we respond. Everything else, including what others think about our choices, is outside our control. The way we now understand how stress works in the body proves what Epictetus knew. When we try to control what we can't, like how others see our decisions, we turn on our body's stress system, the fight or flight response. This starts a chain reaction. Stress chemicals flood our body, inflammation goes up, and our ability to think clearly goes down. Simply put, explaining yourself is actually poisonous to your body. Think of your explanations as taking money out of your energy bank account. Every reason, every carefully built defense of your choices, these aren't free. They cost a lot. And the sad truth, they rarely work like you think they will. People who want to misunderstand you will do so, no matter how good your explanation is. Here's a picture that helps us understand this freedom doorway. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks. Each rock is an explanation you feel you have to give. Some rocks you've been carrying since you were a kid. Reasons for why you're too much or not enough. Others are newer. Defenses for your job choices, your relationship status, where you live. The freedom doorway is that moment when you realize you can simply put the backpack down. Not with a big show, not with any announcement, just quietly placing it on the ground and walking away, suddenly lighter, suddenly free. The word explanation itself tells us something important. It comes from Latin words that mean to make flat. Every time you over-explain, you are actually flattening yourself, making yourself smaller, simpler, easier for others to digest. You are shrinking all the amazing parts of yourself into something that fits neatly into someone else's understanding. But what if you were never meant to fit? What if the rough edges of your real self, the ones you keep smoothing down with explanations, are exactly what make you special, what make you real? There's a Japanese art called kintsugi that fixes broken pottery by filling the cracks with gold. The idea behind it is amazing. The breaks are not something to hide or explain away. They are to be shown off, celebrated. What if your unexplained choices, your strong boundaries, your differences are not flaws to be defended, but gold lines to be highlighted? Let's look at exactly what happens in the moment before you explain. There's a tiny gap, a split second, between when someone questions your choice and when you start defending yourself. In that gap lives your freedom. That split second between the question and your answer, that's where your power waits for you. Most people never notice this gap. The need to explain feels automatic, like it has to happen. But it doesn't. It's something you learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. The explanation builder. That's the part of you we need to understand. This inner voice is always making big reasons to justify what you do, building walls around choices that needed no protection. This builder thinks safety comes from being understood. If people just understood why you did what you did, they would accept you, love you, approve of you. But here's the hard truth the builder doesn't want you to see. Understanding doesn't mean acceptance. Some people who understand you completely will still reject your choices, and some who don't understand you at all will love you fully. You didn't explain badly. They just didn't want to hear you. You owe no explanation. This isn't selfish, it's needed, because your energy is limited. Your life force has an end, and every bit of energy used explaining yourself is energy stolen from actually living. Let's break down what really happens when the urge to explain shows up. First, there's the trigger. Someone questions your choice, or you think they might. This could be clear. Why would you do that? Or hidden, a raised eyebrow, a small pause. Next comes the danger response. Your body sees judgment as a threat. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing gets shallow. Your mind races through possible explanations. Then, the practice begins. You mentally try different versions of your explanation. Which one will sound best? Which one will cause the least pushback? This inner process can use huge mental energy, even when no words are actually spoken. Finally, the performance. You give your explanation, carefully watching the other person's response, changing based on their face, tone, body language. This whole cycle can happen in seconds or last for days. Either way, it's pure energy loss. You owe no explanation. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about knowing that your choices, especially those about your own body, time, energy, and boundaries, are valid on their own. They don't get their value from others' understanding or approval. Take a moment. Think of one choice you've made recently that you've been explaining over and over to others, or even to yourself. Now imagine just letting it stand on its own, without defense. How does that feel in your body? Think about how different cultures see this idea. In many Northern European countries, there's an idea of personal space that goes beyond just physical space. Questioning someone's personal choices is seen as rude, in the same way that standing too close would be. The explanation itself is seen as not needed, a crossing of the natural boundary between you and others. On the other hand, many group-focused cultures value explaining one's choices, but with a big difference. The explanation is given freely, as a gift of sharing, not demanded as a price for acceptance. The difference matters. When explanation is chosen, it gives you strength. When it's forced, it drains you. You owe no explanation. This becomes your power phrase, your saying, the whispered reminder in that key gap between question and answer. Not as a wall to keep others out, but as a door you choose when and how to open. What happens when you cross this doorway? When you stop automatically explaining yourself? First comes the discomfort, yours and theirs. We're so used to the explanation dance that its absence feels strange. Like missing a step on stairs, there's a moment of confusion. Then comes the testing. Those used to your explanations will push harder for them. The questions get more pointed, the facial expressions more extreme. This is the key moment, the doorway itself. If you stay strong, not with stiffness, but with gentle firmness, something amazing happens, a reset. The relationship finds a new balance. The energy you were losing starts to stay within you. And most surprisingly, respect often grows. Because here's what few understand. Boundaries that are explained are boundaries weakened. The very act of defending your boundary turns it into a discussion. But boundaries simply stated, calmly, clearly, without defense, these become real. Explained boundaries invite debate. Stated boundaries command respect. You owe no explanation. When you truly take in this truth, your relationship with stress changes. The background buzz of worry, that constant readiness to defend, starts to fade. Your body, maybe for the first time since childhood, gets the signal that you are safe. Not because everyone approves, but because their approval is no longer needed for your peace. Let's face the hard truth about your need to explain. It's not really about talking, it's about who you think you are. Deep down, you've come to believe that you are your explanations, that your worth depends on how well you can justify why you exist and why you make your choices. You got so good at explaining yourself that you forgot you don't need to. This is the fake you, the explaining you, the you that thinks acceptance must be earned by carefully giving reasons. This you is tired. This you is always putting on a show. This you lives life at a distance, always filtering what happens through the question, how will I explain this later? What would happen if you stopped? If you let choices stand on their own? If, because I want to, or because it feels right to me, was enough? Who would you be without your big explanations? This question scares the fake you, because without the shield of explanation, you would have to be real, open, true. You would have to trust that you are worthy of your choices without defending them, that your existence needs no justification. Ask yourself, when was the last time you made a choice without right away thinking about how to explain it to others? When was the last time you felt fully free to simply want what you want, without needing to build a logical reason around it? Your wants don't need reasons to be valid. They just need to be yours. Who really gains from your endless explanations? Not you. Your explanations help those who want to control you, who need you small, who want your obedience. Every time you rush to explain, you give away your power. You basically say, my choices are only good if you understand and approve of them. You owe no explanation, not to your critical parent, not to your judgmental friend, not to your controlling partner, not to your confused children, not to your demanding boss, not even to your own inner critic. When you were little, explanation was a survival trick. If the grown-ups understood you, maybe they wouldn't leave you. Maybe they would give you what you needed. Maybe they would love you. This helped you then. It hurts you now. Pause here. Put your hand on your heart. Feel your heartbeat. No explanation needed for why it keeps beating. What relationships in your life would change if you simply stated your choices rather than defending them? Which connections might go away? Which might get stronger? Who gets uncomfortable when you stop doing the explanation? Dance. The people worth keeping aren't the ones who demand your reasons. They're the ones who respect your boundaries. You owe no explanation. This is not selfish. It's self-protection. Every unneeded explanation drains the very life energy you need for what really matters, for creating, for connecting, for giving, for joy. The big hit comes when you realize how much of your precious, limited life you've spent explaining yourself to people who were never really listening. How many stories unwritten, adventures not taken, moments of joy not felt, all given up on the altar of explanation. You've been acting out your life instead of living it. You can't get those hours back, but you can stop the bleeding now. Picture standing in your truth without the paragraph that follows. Picture saying no and letting it be enough. Picture making a choice because it feels right in your body, with no need to show proof. This is who you could be. This is who you already are, under the explaining self. You owe no explanation. The universe didn't explain why it made you. The sun doesn't justify why it rises. The ocean doesn't defend its tides. And you, amazing, short-lived collection of star stuff that you are, do not need to explain the unique way you move through this world. Your breathing deepens. You reclaim the enormous energy previously spent constructing explanations and redirect it toward actual living. Then comes the relationship recalibration. Some people will be uncomfortable with your new boundaries. This discomfort is information. It reveals who in your life was invested in your smallness, in your compliance, in your exhausting performance of justification. Others, perhaps to your surprise, will respond with increased respect. They sense the shift in your energetic field, the new solidity in your presence, the quiet certainty that comes from standing in your truth without defense. When you stop explaining yourself to others, they start seeing you clearly for the first time. The most profound change happens internally. When you stop explaining yourself to others, You also stop the excessive self-explanation, that constant internal narration, the one that requires you to have logical reasons for your intuitive knowing, begins to quiet. You start trusting the wisdom of your body, your heart, your gut. You recognize that because it feels right is often the most honest explanation there is. The stress that has been your constant companion, the background radiation of anxiety that comes from perpetual readiness to defend, this begins to dissolve. In its place comes a new sensation, ease, not perfection, not the absence of challenges, but a fundamental ease with being exactly who you are, without footnotes or appendices. Remember the backpack full of stones. With each unexplained choice, each undefended boundary, each unjustified desire, you remove another stone. You don't throw it at anyone. You simply place it down and walk away lighter. You owe no explanation. Say it again. Feel it in your body. This is not a technique or a strategy. It's a reclamation of your sovereign space, of the energy that is rightfully yours. Let this be the week you cross the threshold. Let this be the moment you release the exhausting performance. Let this be the day you discover how much life energy becomes available when you stop explaining and start living. Comment below with your oath. I release the need to explain. This isn't just a comment. It's a declaration, a marking of the threshold, a commitment to your own energy sovereignty. Subscribe CTA and future Ts. This freedom doorway we've crossed together today, it's just the beginning, the first door in a series of gateways to energy reclaiming, to stress melting, to real living. The energy you've wasted on explaining could power a whole life you haven't even imagined yet. In my next video, we'll explore what happens after you stop explaining, the empty space that first appears and the creative force that rushes in to fill it. We'll talk about the specific word patterns that replace explanation without losing connection, the exact phrases that honor both your boundaries and your relationships. If today's talk touched something deep inside you, if you saw yourself in the never-ending cycle of explanation, then you're exactly who I'm creating for. My channel is for those ready to take back their energy from the systems and patterns that drain it. Those ready to live with less stress, not through management tricks, but through big shifts in how they relate to themselves and others. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell, not just to see the next video, but to join a group of others crossing these same doorways. Others seeing the huge energy they've been spending on unneeded explanation. Others committed to taking back that energy for what really matters. This journey of freedom doesn't happen in one video or one realization. It unfolds over time as you practice new ways of being, as you meet resistance both inside and outside, as you discover who you are without the shield of explanation. I'm here for that whole journey, every step, every doorway, every reclaiming. Subscribe now. Your unexplained self is waiting. In the spaces between your words, in the pauses you once rushed to fill with explanations, something new is waiting to be born, something ancient, something that has always been yours. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's power in its purest form. The silence after no, the period at the end of "this is what I need," the open air following "this is who I am." These spaces hold worlds of possibility. When you don't need to explain why you exist, you finally begin to experience it. Think about this. The most powerful forces in nature give no explanation. The earthquake simply shakes. The lightning simply strikes. The flower simply blooms. Their power is not in their ability to justify their actions, but in their complete match with their nature. What if your nature, your deepest, truest self, needs no more justification than the rose needs for its thorns, the ocean for its depth, the fire for its heat? Your existence is the explanation. Maybe the greatest harm we do to ourselves is not in the hurt we actively cause, but in the life we never live, because we're too busy explaining why we deserve to live it. Tomorrow, when you stand at the fork in the road between explanation and simple truth, remember this moment. Remember that on the other side of your reasons lies a life of amazing freedom. Not freedom from consequence or responsibility, but freedom from the tiring show of defense. You are not what you can explain. You are not the sum of your reasons. You are the unexplained miracle of awareness experiencing itself, and that needs no explanation at all.